You probably don't know that the guy who discovered gravity was a nasty, corrupt individual who died a virgin, got 28 people killed, and was obsessed with prophecies and other wacky theories. These are the stories about Isaac Newton that the science books won't tell you. Isaac Newton was born in 1643 in England, premature and sickly, and with his dad dying before he was born, he had a pretty rough start to life. Maybe these difficult beginnings contributed to the first truly weird thing that Isaac did, which was, as a teenager, keeping a list of all of his sins. 57 in total. Some highlights include threatening to burn my mother and stepfather in their house, beating my sister, making pies on Sunday, and having impure thoughts in church. In 1661, Isaac Newton went to Cambridge, but it wasn't until 1665, and a great plague forced Cambridge to shut down, that things really started looking up for Isaac. In just an 18-month period, he'd invented calculus, discovered the laws of motion, proved that white light contains every colour, and started defining gravity. Some of the less brilliant experiments that Isaac Newton did during this time included sticking a needle behind his eyeball to see what would happen when he pressed on his eyeball. For those interested, coloured circles appeared. And he also stared at the sun until he went blind. Luckily for him, this blindness only lasted for some days after this groundbreaking experiment. When Isaac Newton returned to Cambridge, aged 26, his time as a professor, he got famous and he got nasty. Isaac Newton had invented calculus, but for bizarre reasons decided not to publish this in a scientific text. So, when German mathematician Gottfried Leibniz claimed he'd also invented calculus, Newton did what any sensible genius would do. He started a committee to investigate the claim and appointed himself as the head of the committee. Newton wrote the report on the committee's findings himself, and, in a surprise to absolutely no one, declared that he, and not Leibniz, had indeed invented calculus. Newton then entered a period of solitary study, not of physics, but mainly of Bible prophecies and trying to turn lead into gold. He was convinced that the world would end in 2060 and wrote over 1 million words on theology, which far outstrips his few hundred pages that he wrote on gravity. Never married, never had a partner, died a virgin, claimed that women were a distraction. It wasn't until 1696 that Isaac Newton realised that he quite enjoyed being involved in other people's deaths when he took up a new job as Warden of the Royal Mint. His job was to catch people who were counterfeiting coins, which was a crime punishable by death at the time. The thing that makes this slightly weird is that Newton tried really hard at his job by personally hunting counterfeiters across London and interrogating suspects to try and build the most airtight case possible, giving himself the best chance of getting them executed. Newton's try-hard exploits resulted in the executions of at least 28 people. Isaac Newton lived to his 80s and died in 1727, wealthy, knighted, and still an arse. He was buried in Westminster Abbey and became the first scientist to receive that honour.